listening to Package Your Genius, a conversation designed to give you clarity on your calling and serve as a catalyst for your career. I'm your host, Amanda Miller Littlejohn. Welcome back to another episode of Package Your Genius. I'm so excited that you're joining me today. And if you're new to the podcast, I want to take a second to introduce myself because I realize that even though this is episode 75, you may not have been here for the entire Package Your Genius journey. And so just to give you some context about who you're listening to, I will share that as you heard on the intro, this is a place that you can hope to get clarity around your calling. And I hope that my solo rants, as well as my interviews with the guests I bring on to the show, can really serve as a catalyst for your career, your big dreams, and you really getting the work that you were meant to do in this life out into the world. And that's really the spirit of Package Your Genius as a concept altogether. It's how do we get our most purposeful work into the world. So welcome to this space. I'm excited to connect with you. And if you are not already connected with me on email or social media, please join the email list. My website is amandamillerlittlejohn.com. And you can find me on social media just by searching Amanda Miller Littlejohn. So today I want to talk about something that's been coming up in conversations with students, clients, friends, people in my community, all alike. And that is the idea that while you may indeed be great at what you do, you may have a phenomenal message. You may do life-changing work. I mean, seriously, you're a game changer in your industry. But one of the reasons you've yet to blow up and your business has yet to take off is because no one has heard of you. So you may be thinking, duh, Amanda, tell me something I don't know, right? And I get it, because if you're here because you're seriously interested in building your personal brand, you probably already know that you want more people to know about you. But what you may not know is this: you actually have more power over the fact that no one knows about you than you think. I'll say that again. You actually have more power over that fact. The fact that no one knows about you, you are the one in the driver's seat who can control whether or not more people know about you or less people know about you. And that's because the primary reason that no one has heard of you yet is that you won't tell people what you do. You won't tell people what you do. And if you do tell them, you refuse to repeat yourself. So you don't have more opportunities on the table because you're not telling people that you're open to working with them. You're not telling people how they can take advantage of what you have to offer. Or once you've told them one time, you're not following up by reminding them. And this makes me think of one of the lessons in Package Your Genius Academy, which is my signature 12-week brand visibility program. And the program is based on three major components. First, we work on getting clear on what is your gift, what do you have to offer the world. Then we work on packaging it. But then the last piece is pitching that genius, that service, that offering to media, to potential clients, in an effort to land some visibility and to make some revenue, quite frankly. And one of the things that a lot of my students, who, particularly those who work in corporate America or have a 9-to-5, and they're, used to being told what to do and who to meet with and how to navigate, and maybe they're leading teams on behalf of their company. But this whole conversation of introducing yourself and letting people know how they can take advantage of your skills is a new conversation. And so it can feel really daunting. It can feel very intimidating to essentially have to humble yourself to say, hey, this is who I am and this is what I'm about and this is how I can help you. Do you want to work together? Are you interested in having a conversation? Would you like to learn more about how I can help you? That is a new conversation for most people who have not been operating in any sort of entrepreneurial way. And so that means if you've written a book or even launched a podcast, there's a lot of marketing and repeating. A lot of repetition goes into getting traction. That's really the long and short of it. And for most people, they are not necessarily used to repeating themselves on behalf of themselves. They can do it fine for their employer or the bigger organization they work on behalf of, but when it comes to putting that energy behind themselves, it gets really, really tricky. And so I always tell them, okay, yes, you made the post, you made the pitch, you got some traction, do it again. And that is like the biggest kind of hurdle to jump over, the fact that you have to keep doing it. You have to do it again. It's not a 12-week process that ends after week 12. Like, you have to repeat it. You have to keep going. You have to take what you've learned and repeat it over and over again, month after month, if you want to see sustained traction. So you can't just say it once. As my husband says, you have to be a broken record. You have to tell them, and then you have to tell them again. And listen, I know how hard that can be. I did a whole podcast episode on how to be a broken record. And that episode started from a conversation I was having with my husband about, feeling like I was talking too much about my business, feeling like that was all I ever talked about and that people were getting tired of hearing it. And he was great because he politely reminded me that, number one, I wasn't talking about it too much. And number two, most people weren't even really seeing all of my activity online because they're not as glued to their phones as I perceive them to be. And they're not as tuned into me as I would hope they would be. And so, just to let you know, I'm not preaching at you from a place of privilege. I'm preaching to you because I know what you're doing, because I have done it. And I have suffered from that same thing, not wanting to come across as obnoxious or self-serving or the broken record that only has this one message and one narrative to share. There's more to me. So I know you're doing all of that. So we know we're not talking about ourselves enough. How do you make it so that people have heard of you? So if you're not getting the traction that you wish you were getting from your efforts, from your business, from your personal brand, if, the speaking invitations aren't rolling in, the media invitations aren't coming in, or the media isn't saying yes, you're not booking media, you're not booking new clients, you're not enrolling people in your programs, and you know that more people need to know who you are, how do you make it so? I got a couple of tips. That's why you're here, right? So first, you have to own that you have something to share, something that is valuable to others, something that more people need. And this is actually the mindset work that many people have to do first, especially when they work in corporate America, because corporate America will have you thinking you're nowhere near as good as you actually are. But that's another story for another podcast. So that's the first step. You have to own the fact that you're good, that your skills are solid, and that your work adds enough value to others that more people should know about it. Secondly, you have to publicly declare, and I'm going to say that again, publicly declare that you're available, because you cannot sell a secret. So that could mean making a post about your new venture or your new book or your new service offering on social media. That can mean making an announcement at an industry meeting or a speaking engagement to let people know that you have a business and you're taking clients. That could even mean making a list of targets and then reaching out to them one by one. But if you do reach out to people individually, you still, in my opinion, need to have something public facing that declares what you do, like an updated LinkedIn profile or a website that you can link to in that outreach, right? So, it's not, let me secretly send a message and tell you I'm open for business. But then when you Google me or you go looking for evidence that I'm open for business, there's nothing to be found. You definitely want to make sure there is something public facing that shows who you are, what you do, and what you're available to support others with. So again, that's a public declaration. You have to publicly declare you're available. And last, you have to keep telling people over and over again, repeatedly. And here's where resistance typically shows up for most people, even if they've managed to get past steps 1 and 2. They might start to tell themselves that they're bothering people, or they're getting on people's nerves, or people are tired of hearing about whatever they have to share. And again, I totally understand that, because I have been there and I've done that, and I've said all of those things. Because even if you manage to share your big announcement about your company or your book or your program, and no one responds. And this is huge, because you've gone out on a limb to tell people that you are doing this new thing, that you're working in this new way. And so when you do that and no one responds and no one reaches out, you might mistake that silence for indifference. You might mistake that silence for lack of interest. You might mistake that silence for, this was a huge mistake. I should have never gone out and told people that I'm doing this new thing. I never should have believed that I could actually make a go of this, right? Those are some of the thoughts that come into your mind. And listen, I know as well as anyone how nerve-wracking it can be to put things out there and hear nothing. It can really, really mess with your mind after you've mustered up the courage to announce that you are doing this thing, and then you hear nothing. And it's tempting to think people don't care, but the reality is they likely either didn't hear about it when you posted it, they missed your post, they missed your announcement, or if they did hear about it, they did see your post, they just need some time to process. But that silence can be deafening. And that part really becomes the mental game. So you have to push yourself to keep putting it out there and giving it a chance to actually work. So what does this mean? It doesn't mean that you mention your service or your book or your opportunity one time, and if it doesn't yield a slew of new customers or clients, you stop and beat yourself up for being silly enough to believe that this could all work out for you, and you vow to never mention it again. That's what you don't do. It simply means you have to say it again a few more times that way, and maybe even switch up your medium. So if you're posting on LinkedIn and you're not seeing traction, maybe try Facebook if you have a more natural audience there. If social media isn't working altogether, maybe that means you hop on the phone, right, and call people, or you send handwritten notes until you find the way that works for you. However, people are naturally most responsive to you. They can feel your sincerity, your heart, and understand you. That medium is the medium that works, and then you just keep doing it. And so you tell people about what you do at least 2 times a week, because if you don't tell them, how can you expect them to find out? And then if you don't remind them, how can you expect them to remember? Whatever your medium of choice is, so however you most successfully connect with your tribe, be intentional about showing up there multiple times per week. Put it on your calendar so that you get a reminder. A reminder that asks, hey, did I connect this week? Did I write something this week? Did I go live this week? My husband always jokes with me, and he talks about my long posts on LinkedIn or my email letters, and he calls them missives. And he'll say, I haven't seen one of your missives in a while. And so that means I know I need to send one out. So whatever your version of a missive is, maybe it's an Instagram story or a thank you note or even a Twitter rant. I don't know. Just be intentional about doing it and doing it regularly. Don't leave it to chance, because remember, people probably still won't see it even when you post it. So you have to keep posting, keep repeating it until enough people are hearing it. So maybe they're telling each other and it's not all on you. So put yourself also in your audience's shoes, because we're all so incredibly busy. Think about the last time someone had the solution to your big problem, but you needed time to mull it over, to think it through, to make up your mind. And then, you chose to hire them or get their book or work with them. And then your life got in the way. You got busy. You meant to sign up, but you had a deadline at work to meet, or you had to go do something for your kids, or like me, you got tired and you needed a nap. You're busy, and the people who need you are busy too. So give them some grace. Don't be too good to repeat yourself. And remember, no one gets upset when you remind them about something good. So I'm going to take my own advice and remind you about something really good. And that is Package Your Genius Academy. We are enrolling right now for the cohort that starts in early May. Package Your Genius Academy is my signature 12-week brand visibility program to help you unlock what's unique and special about your gift so that you can share it with the world. And we don't focus simply on people who are running businesses. While, of course, we can help business owners hone in on what's unique about how they are approaching business and how they are delivering their product or service or message, and help them get that clarity so more people can understand it. But we also love working with people who have jobs and are simply looking for another outlet for their gifts and talents. Maybe that's because they eventually want to go out on their own and explore entrepreneurship. But sometimes that simply means they want to create an additional revenue stream or an additional passion stream, an additional energy stream, because they're not as fulfilled at work as they would hope to be. And so we work with you over 12 weeks to get clear on your gift and how you can communicate that to others so they understand it, and then package it through messages and stories and content, and then pitch that to media, speaking engagements, and new customers and clients. So it's a powerful program that infuses group coaching, one-on-one support, even mindset therapy. We have a performance coach on our team who works with the group and helps us get over some of our major mindset hurdles. So it's a powerful program, and I hope that if it's something that resonates with you, you will submit your application, which you can do at packageyourgeniusacademy.com. We are also rolling right on through with Maximum Exposure, the new PR program that launched this month. And I just got to tell you, it's been an exciting journey working with the experts in our inaugural cohort, and we're already getting media traction. We have our first interview lined up for next Tuesday from one of the program participants. So that's really exciting. So if PR is more your speed and that's something that you like to explore, you can also learn more about that program at packageyourgeniusacademy.com as well. But that is all for now. I look forward to hearing your message, seeing you repeat yourself, and get some traction, because if more people don't know about you, you can never get your gift into the world, and people totally deserve to hear what you have to say. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next time. Bye.